Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time of day you're watching this. Thank you for joining me. This is second in my little mini series of party walls and all the little nuances with it, what the act is, how it works. The first was an intro and we looked into different types of party walls. And on this, I'm going to look at the second part of the etc. First part was party structures, which is adjoining excavations. So I'm going to hand over to my screen, which I have a couple of very basic little sketches. I do apologise for the quality of these. One of the reasons I'm talking to you as a building surveyor, not an architect, is my inability to sketch and draw. Although I do like sketching and drawing, I sketch a lot of times and put little details in my report so people can understand it. So there's two elements of adjoining excavations, not foundations. I'm going to come back to that in a moment. So there's two elements. One is within 3 meters and one is within 6 meters. So going to look at this little sketch here first. And what this shows is we're going to cast a lovely 1 meter deep mass concrete trench fill foundation within 3 meters of an adjoining owner's Victorian foundations, which I'm going to assume is a stepped brick. Now it's for you as a building surveyor to determine or reasonably accurately calculate how deep next door's foundations may be. But if you're in this scenario where you're building the foundations here shown on the left, within 3 meters of next door's foundations and as to an assumed greater depth, you'll need to serve an adjoining excavation notice on next door. It's not just excavation, so it's not just for foundations, it's for excavations as well. So you could be in the scenario where next door on the right here is a 1980s property of meter deep trench fill foundations, and you're going to do something that's exactly the same. Now that in itself may not need notice to be served, but between you and next door, and again within 3 meters of next door's foundations, you need to excavate for a new drainage run. And that drainage run is going to be 1.2, 1.3 meters deep. So deeper than what we're assuming next door's foundations to be. And within 3 meters, you need to serve notice. So it's for adjoining excavations, not just adjoining foundations. So that's 3 meters, relatively straightforward. But there are scenarios when you will be putting in much deeper foundations. Maybe you'll be building offices or a car park or a new development with either a big excavation to form an underground car park or a basement, or you're putting in some kind of a pile of foundations. And here it's slightly different. So if your excavations are within 6 meters of an adjoining owner's foundations, and when we lay that line out at 45 degrees from the bottom of their foundations, your excavation breaches that line, then you need to serve notice. This may not necessarily mean just notice on the adjoining owner. It may mean, in a case of 4.5, 5 meter wide terrace houses, you've got to serve notice on the next 2 houses if you're doing, for argument's sake, a basement excavation on number 51 Acacia Road and number 53 and 49, both sides are only 4.5, 5 meters wide. So you could be in the scenario where you've got to serve a 6 meter notice to the 2 that are furthest away, and then 3 meter notices to next door, both sides. So it's something else to consider. It by far and away, it doesn't come up anywhere near as often as a 3 meter excavation would do, but it does come up regardless as well. And then finally, there's a section 1 notice, which is a line of excavation, a line of junction. Now this is where you're proposing to build on the line of junction between 2 properties. What do we mean by the line of junction? Well, this is basically your boundary line. So you're in a mid-semi-detached house, 1930s, and you've got a fence between 2 properties and you want to build up to that fence line. That's building on the line of junction. You serve a section 1 notice for that. Doesn't matter about excavations and stuff, although chances are if you're doing that, you may fall foul within section of a section 3 notice. So this is a much quicker video because there's less to cover. So when we move on to my next video, we're going to look at the different notices and how those notices get served. Okay, so once again, thank you for joining me. Thank you for getting this far. If you like what we're doing, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one, which by my maths will be part 3. Thank you very much.